Hello everyone, welcome back to Big Bear Automations. We're on day 8 of learning n8n in a year. Day 8 already, crazy. If you haven't gone back and had a look at the other ones, please go back and look at day 1, day 2, day 3, go through the series because we've set up self-hosting and we're now getting into the thick of triggers and what they mean, and we are going today is going to look at the Webhook Trigger, which is probably one of the most important, if not the most important one that you will be using. So please go back. I'll put a link on the page somewhere. Let's crack on. So yesterday we did everything to do with trigger nodes on n8n. We went through each individual one and we had a look over each one and what they do and what they mean. Today we're going to solely focus on the webhook, and the reason being is that it's the main one. It will be your main one, it's my main one, it's probably everyone's main one. So this is a very important trigger to get your head around. So we're going to go through it step by step, and I will test each request, and we'll go through authentication, and we'll go through it step by step. So first of all, let's start simple. Get, delete, head, patch, post, and put HTTP methods. Now, I could go through these, but AI is just going to give us a much better articulated answer than I can. So let's go through this. Tell me the difference. For put, post, delete, get, patch, head. Am I missing any of them? Put, post, head, delete, get, put, post, head, delete, patch. No, cool. Okay, let's see what our beautiful friend Claude comes up with. So these are the differences between the different HTTP methods that we've got available on n8n. So get and post and put are probably your main three, and then we'll go over these two. So get retrieves data from the server, should be safe, no side effects. Same result every time, used for fetching resources like web pages, API data, images, etc. So you're retrieving, you're getting something. Post sends data to create new resource or submit data for processing. Multiple identical requests may create multiple resources or have different effects. Commonly used for form submissions, creating new data records, or uploading. So posting, you're sending data, you're putting data into something, into a system. Put, update or create a resource at a specific location. Sending the same put request multiple times should have the same effect as sending it once, typically replacing the entire resource when this is provided. So you're updating, you're putting something into either a database or something like that to update that record. If you've the same record ID, you'd update that record every time. Patch, particularly used on an existing resource. Unlike put, it only modifies specific fields rather than replacing the entire resource. So this one is probably more efficient if you're dealing with big data, and you just want to patch up a particular field in an ID. This is what you'd use. Delete removes a resource from the server. Deleting the same resource multiple times should have the same result. Quite self-explanatory. You're deleting it. Now, there's no reason why you couldn't have a post request that has the data that wanted you to delete, and then have a delete request outside of the webhook. But that's totally up to you. It depends on the workflow, depends on what you're doing, depends on what tool tech stack they've got, etc. Head, similar to get, but only returns headers without the response body, useful for checking if the resource exists, getting metadata, or checking file sizes without downloading the full content. So basically like a maybe is it heads up? Ooh, maybe, I don't know, but it's like a head. So you're getting a heads up that, oh, there is something, maybe you want to try and get it. Safe methods, interesting, key concepts. Get and head don't modify server state. Get, put, delete, head and patch produce the same result, which when called multiple times, and post may create different results with repeated calls. The choice of method depends on what action you want to perform. Okay, yeah, we know that bit. Okay, so now we've gone through each of these. We are going to test each of these one by one and see what the difference is. I've created this Postman resource. So what I'll do is I'll send this out, and it's basically you post your patches, you delete your heads, and you put all with the different authentications on, depending on which one we choose. So we're going to test the get and the authentication, and then we'll just test the post, the patch, the delete, the head, and the put, and then we'll you can test the auth methods on the different HTTP methods if you want to. But I will add a link to this so you can download this and get Postman. You can just sign up for it for free and you can hit all your APIs. I'll show you what it does. It's pretty common practice now, and Postman's pretty good at it. So it's definitely worth getting if you're going to be doing a lot of webhooks, which I assume you will be. So again, I'm not affiliated with any of these tools, just so you know. This is just me and my experience. So you're more than welcome to try something else. You could even make a make.com trigger, but no, we won't go down that inception. Let's start with a standard get. So we did this yesterday, but let's just refresh our brains. There's the test. We go over to a get request, paste in that URL from Postman. We make sure that it's listening for the event, and we send that request from Postman. Postman gets the message back saying the workflow has started. This has triggered. Beautiful. That would start your workflow. Okay, what if we had basic authentication? So there's two ways to do this. You've got your basic auth, which is username and password. So if we go back over here, we're going to go to basic authentication, add a credential. My password is Big Bear. My username is Big Bear, and my password will be Big Bear. Obviously, I will delete these, and we can save that. So that's got that credential that's on that get request now. I'll go over to Postman. I'm going to put in my username, my password that I've just set up, make sure that it's listing on the event, and hit it. Oh, it would help if I did I do it too fast? Oh, no, it would help if I had the right URL, wouldn't it? Place that in there, then that. Workflow started, but now it's hidden behind the basic auth authentication. Now, what does that actually look like if you weren't in Postman and you wanted to use it in an app? What it's actually doing behind the scenes is adding an authentication header to it. So if we had no auth here like this, and then we had the authorization header, what you then need to do is do your encoding for your password. So the easiest thing to do, in my experience, is just come over to your AI of choice and say, I need a basic auth bearer token. So I used to write bear, now it's a joke. Bearer token, username is Big Bear, and password is Big Bear. Now, obviously, you don't want to put that into AI, but for testing purposes, I'm okay with it. But in a real world scenario, you would set up the code in your backend, front end, however you want to do it, that would encode these probably from a environment config or something like that. You probably want to protect it a little bit more than passing it to AI and hoping for the best. But for testing purposes, this is what we're going to do. So then pass that into there. Got your basic, your encoded password and username. Send that. make sure it's turned on. You'll do that more times than you can count. And it has the same effect as if the Postman authentication was on. Okay, so don't worry about that body. That was me testing something. That doesn't need to be there. It's all about your authorization header. Okay, next one is, actually, let me show you something. So how would I add this into a Python app? Right, so we're looking at the code part in now, the code part of it also. Again, you just add it in. There's a few libraries that can do it for you. Base your base64 coding and encoding, decoding, etc. Again, just use AI if you need it, but there's probably better ways to do it than basic auth like that. You probably want to go down the JWT route again. We'll have a look at that in a bit, but JWT is quite a bit more in depth, and we'll have to. I'll show you a few links and send out a few links out instead of going through it, because there's algorithms and all sorts. We'll go through that. Cool. So this is just how you would do it in an application. You just encode it, add it in to the headers. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the header auth. And this one, again, name, value, which will be Big Bear. Save that. And this one is more of like a key pairing in your header than actually a token of some sort, I would say. So if we go back over to here, what you're going to do is in your headers, you're going to add in what you've just put, your Big Bear as the value, the key, and Big Bear as the value. Now, make sure it's listening, make sure your URL is correct, then that, and your workflow is started. Now, if that was Big Bear 2, make sure your workflow is going, and that authorization data is wrong. So all you're doing is just passing the key and the value which you've created as part of that credential here. The key and the value, they're called in name, but it's key, I would say. That's it for header auth. Again, pretty simple. You could probably set up something that automatically changes these headers to expire every 2 weeks or something like that, and then create a new one, and keep on top of your password control and all that sort of stuff. Keep it, and it will probably work for most, but hopefully you should be able to set that up pretty quick, pretty smooth. It's quite an easy one to do. I would probably go basic auth over header auth, just because one, it's just as simple, and two, at least you got your encoding, which is a little bit more secure. So now we head over to JWT. Now JWT is very different to the rest, and to be honest with you, unless you're thinking about doing an app where you're using n8n as your backend, for example, then it's going to be a pretty difficult thing to test. But the concept is that you call JWT, and it will give you a signature back. You then use that signature to pass over to n8n, and n8n then will go and check that signature against whatever your secret and password, your key and your public key is. Now, that's very simplistic, and in all honesty, I probably got bits of it in the wrong way around, because once you do it once, you kind of just copy and paste your JWT logic around. What I will do is send a few links, put a few links in the description, so that you can start going to have a look at the JWT stuff, because it is interesting and it is something you want to probably wrap your head around at some point, especially if you're looking at using this as a backend and having a front end that you're coding. You're definitely going to need to look at your JWT stuff. So, and it's probably one of the most secure, so it's definitely worth putting your efforts in. But we'll I'll add some descriptions and stuff to the YouTube. There's not enough time really to go through it in depth. Okay, so what I'm going to do is turn off auth altogether for this now. But the concept for each of those auths is exactly the same no matter what the HTTP request is. So once you've got it working on the GET, you can add it to the others. Not a problem. So now we're going to do a post. And we're going to head over to, let's just turn that on before I cry. We're going to head over to our post. Again, post. I'm going to change our URL. And then we're going to post a body. So body data / data. Again, this is just an example. You could have multiple in here. So whatever your JSON you need, JSON body, big bear. Doesn't matter. We can send that. Workflow started. Now the key difference here is that in your body now, you'll have that data that we passed over. So body data, JSON body is Big Bear. So what you do is you can then use that data in your workflow. And that's the difference. So very big tool, something that you'll definitely be using all the time. Get posts are definitely going to be your most common. And once you wrap your head around that, passing your JSON in and your JSON structure and whatever you need, then you can then use that in your workflows, which is perfect. Okay, next on the list is patch. Actually, we're going to go back. And the reason being is Get has some cool stuff. So Get, you can do things like this. So first name, last name. Sorry, I want to show you this because it is pretty cool. And basically what you're doing is passing query parameters to your URL. So you can still pass data, but obviously it's not secured data, so don't pass anything that's GDPR'd or sensitive or anything like that, because that URL will be on your network, but you can pass certain things like an ID or something like that that you need. If I show you what that looks like, listen for a test event, send that, no auth. You'll get these in the parameter section. So first name, big, last name, bear. So you can start passing things around, which is pretty cool. Things like IDs and stuff like that means that it's simple to get stuff. Okay. I don't want anything. I'm gonna have to just put something in. Okay, so now we're going to do patch. Let me just make sure this works. Patch, listen for event, and yeah. Okay. So again, you probably want to send something like an ID here. Oh, yeah, on that. And that ID is going to be, I don't know, patch ID. Send that. And then in here, in your parameters, you got your patch ID, which is then something that you probably want to use to patch whatever you've added in the body here. So again, we can do your body of data, doesn't matter. Change this. Change this. Nope, that's not going to work. It will now. Again, now you've got the patch ID and your body that you need to change. Again, just efficiencies that you can use. Next on the list, we've got delete. Again, we're not going to delete anything because we haven't got a database set up, but again, you can do the same thing, add the ID, then use that ID to delete, go down the path that deletes whatever you need to delete from the database. And then we've got put, same concept, right? We've got nothing on the database at the moment, but you can use it to put items back in or use the ID, etc. Same with the head stuff that we've done, where it was just to get a quick get or heads up that there's something in a database or something that there is something that exists. So we can test these. So what we could do is allow multiple, and we could add all of these in, right? And now you can handle each webhook separately. So if it is the delete HTTP, go and delete something. If it is the get, go and get it. If it's the heads up or the head, go and get that thing to see whether it exists or not. If it's a patch my database and respond the way that I want it to. Each one of these can have its own response. Like this. So you can take it down the workflow and respond to each HTTP request as needed, and we will test that out now. Just so you can, just so you can see what that would look like. Trying to do things too quick. So it just gives you a way to handle. Right, let's see what it mops up. Oh, that's better. Okay, so in the delete one, we're gonna respond with JSON, and it's gonna say delete. All right. In the get, it's gonna respond with JSON again, and it's gonna say got it. Yeah, got it. In the head, the same again. We're gonna say heads up. I hope it does stand for heads up. Heads up. In the patch, same again. Or some more JSON. Updated. Field. Updated. In the post. Here is your data. And then in the, what's the last one? In the put, we're going to say updated, put updated. Okay, let's save that. Also, side note, what you could do is add a tag to say webhooks, and then save this so that you've got it for future reference. And what we're going to do here is have no authentication, have an ID, that's okay. And we're going to listen. So now if we go back here, and we're going to call this big, so this is now a get, then that workflow could not be started, code 0. Let's go and see what I've done. Broken something. Webhook node not currently configured. Set the response now. God. Set the response parameter to using respond to. Oh, here we go. So use respond to webhook node. Insert to go. Yeah, already done. Okay, so something got missed out. Thank you for shouting at me. But we add it as immediately, but we actually need respond to webhook node, which will respond defined in that node, which is the JSON that we've just set up. Okay, right. Let's just make sure I've got the right URL this time. Yes, I have. Right, now, this is the get. So it should return the get JSON, which it hasn't done, which is nice. Give me 200 there. If we're going to take a look, it should have responded with this JSON. Verify the webhook node respond. Is that using it is always output data, maybe. It's interesting that it doesn't respond with the body that I've asked it to respond with. Surely my JSON's not wrong. Is it crying about the space? Probably is. Let's try that again. So listen for test. Yeah. $200. Interesting. So it doesn't look like it wants. That's all right. Respond to webhook node. That's correct. Settings is okay. Let me just make sure this JSON. Surely it would fall over. If this JSON. This is the fun, guys. There you go. Perfectly fine. Unusual. Love that. Okay, well, let's just copy it. If Claude's telling me, then it must be correct. Look, it's not returning. That's so strange, isn't it? Respond with JSON. Let's see if it likes this one. No, it should work. Yeah, response. No. Using respond to webhook node. Is it just because I added it after the fact? I hope it's not that. I'm gonna cry. Okay. Let's save that. duplicate that. No, it is. It's because I added it after the fact that I said response to. No, surely not. Let's try another one. Post. Oh. Best not be. It best not be. Maybe it's just catching up with itself. Here's your data. Okay, it's not. It was just being silly for some reason. So there you go. Apologies. n8n being n8n. That was fun. So here's your post branch. So it's gone down the post route. Patch, same concept, right? We can paste in this. Big. We can save this. We can test it. And we can send it updated, gone down the patch route. So you get the gist that we can set up multiple of these and multiple routes depending on what you want, what you need to do. Again, if you're using it as a backend, this is probably a good way to do it because it means that you've got a load of endpoints that actually make sense to a developer. So if you're doing documentation or that sort of stuff, then a delete is this, a get is this. A lot of the times, especially in my experience, that they'll say, oh, you can delete it by posting to this, and actually really best practice shouts if you're deleting something, you should go down delete path, but completely up to you, developer's choice. Hopefully this all makes sense. Again, I will add in links to the JWT side of things, and it'd be cool to see some screenshots or some pictures of you guys testing this, some stuff that you test with it. If you find any issues, add some comments in. It'd be really cool to see what you guys are up to. But yeah, if you do the webhook stuff, you can save it. Thank you. And at the end of day 8, quite a long one, but a big one, and probably one that you want to save because you want to come back to this and looking over the webhook stuff. It's very important. Side note, if you need any help, give me a shout. My email address is here on the screen. If you're a business and you need automations or you need development, please reach out, and please like, share, comment. It really helps grow the channel and supports myself. Thank you.